Like many, my experience of Remembrance Day has changed over the years, from when I was a child to now as an adult and veteran's wife. My early memories are mostly of cold, wet and grey days, stood with my parents at the village war memorial, reading the names listed there, names of faceless people dead long ago and very distant to a child. Every Remembrance Day, the same elderly gentleman with his chest full of medals, his back straight, his eyes focused somewhere in the distance, would recite the poem. At the going down of the sun, we will remember them. He never faltered or got it wrong. Over the years, as I grew, his voice grew weaker and his back became less straight, but he still recited the poem. Even if we could no longer hear the words, we knew what he was saying and would stand in silence until he had finished. I would stand by my mother and father and remember the fallen and honour their memory. The names took on so much more meaning the older I became. Remembrance Day was part of my life and has continued to be so. But the feelings it now evokes are different, and the sadness is a different sadness. It's not a detached sadness for those who have served and gone before, but a very personal sadness and reminder of the cost, not only to those who serve, but to those who stand behind them in the shadows, out of sight. When my husband and I were engaged, we went to a Remembrance Day service at the same village war memorial I had attended as a child. This day was bright and sunny, and my soon-to-be husband was in uniform. The elderly soldier was no longer there, and someone else read the poem. My husband was as straight and serious as I had ever seen him, and reminded me of that soldier of my childhood. I stood beside him, silent and unseen. He was spoken to that day, thanked for his service. I was not acknowledged and ignored by most. It is the only service I have ever attended with him. Many Remembrance Days have now passed. I have experienced them as a service wife and as a veteran's wife, alone and together. Each year I wear my poppy and remember the fallen and often the elderly gentlemen from my childhood. But I no longer visit the war memorial. The day is to rightly remember those who have fallen, served, are serving, but it has never been for those who have stood in the shadows and supported those men and women and enabled them to serve, never to be mentioned or acknowledged. I am still in the shadow, but I am now also the prop that keeps him upright and the one who picked the pieces up when those he served shut the door on him at the end of many years' service. I was still there. Each remembers in their own way, and the nation has its ceremonies, but it's hard for me to watch now. We will wear our poppies. My husband will go off alone and return silent and withdrawn. I will spend the day in worry that my husband is going to cope and wishing it was over. There will be no thanks given to us, no marching bands. I see what his service has done to the man I love, the father of my child. The cost to us as a family has been high. My husband has his medals to show. I have nothing but a broken husband and a child who will never know the man I married. I still have huge pride in all that he achieved. It is therefore a day of mixed and often contradictory emotions. Pride for what he did, anger at the lack of support for me when he was serving and when he left. His service ended when they shut the door behind him, but mine has never stopped.